up, guys? David here from German Tech, and you asked for it. So today I'm going to be giving you guys part 2 of my UniFi series, which is an overview of the UniFi Controller software. So we're going to start just by going down to the UniFi icon, and you can download this software from Ubiquiti's website, and I'll include a link to that down in the description below. So if we just wait a second for it to load, you'll see it come up right here. And it's just going to take a second to start hosting the controller on your network. It's going to locally host it from the start, so we're just going to give it a second to start loading. So once it loads, you're going to see the main screen that says UniFi Controller right here with the UniFi logo. The version which in this video is 4.7.6. You can see the copyright. You can see here it says started. If you hide it, you can see it just goes up here. And then here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to launch the browser. So here it's going to ask you to log in. And when you start, it's going to ask you to set up a few things. And I'm just going to quickly log in. So once it finishes loading, you're going to see the main screen pull up. And when you're setting this up, it's going to ask you to discover some APs. And I'll link you down to a different video that has information on setting up your APs with the controller software. So once we get into this screen, you'll see the network health, and this goes along with all of the different kinds of Ubiquiti and UniFi products. So you can see all the way from the modem all the way to your VoIP. So Ubiquiti sells a lot of different kinds of products to deal with this, from switches to the UniFi APs. They have their routers and they have VoIP phones. So here you can see here connected and stable. You can see APs, I just have 1, users 3, guests 0, your down and upload speeds. So here at the top you can see you can change the site, and that's basically a location. You can actually manage different places or locations with this, and you can manage those over the cloud, which is a pretty cool feature. So here you can just change the refresh rate to refresh the controller for status. And there's a manual refresh button right there. Here it just shows your profile, and that doesn't do much right now. Then you can just show the properties screen, which will pop up later. So now we go over to the map. And here, this is mostly going to all be blurred out for you. But here you can either show, if I click configure maps, you can add multiple maps, and you can either add a floor plan that you've designed yourself or a different company's designed for you of your actual building. Or another cool feature is that you can actually use a Google Maps satellite picture or Street View picture as your map picture. So that is a pretty cool feature, and you can just drag the APs onto the map to do that. Then you can also show different things. You can show the details right here. You can show coverage, and this shows the RF signals and how much it's covering over the whole house or business. And you can see the topology too. So here you can see all of your devices. So here you can see, you can show just your switches. If you have the UniFi switches connected, you show just your APs, and you can sort them and show different activity right there. Or you can show just the phones. So here you can see the main information. So it shows the icon and the status of that right here. It shows the name and the MAC address of it. It shows the private IP address of your access point. It shows the status, so it could say here adopting, disconnected, provisioning, connected, anything like that. It shows the model, which, as you already know, mine is the UniFi AP-AC-LR. We show the number of clients connected, the down and up speeds once again, and the channels. So you can see on my normal 2.4, the channels are N and G Wi-Fi, and then 36 with the channel for my AC Wi-Fi. And if I click locate here, it does 2 cool things. So I do that, and it starts blinking the light on the actual AP, and it also will show it on the map blinking, which is a pretty cool thing. So if I click that, it's going to take a second to shut off the locating feature. And then you can also restart the access point from here. If we click on config, you can see it still shows the name, the icon, and the status. It shows the version of the software that the AP is running. It shows the 2G and 5G settings. It shows the radio settings right here, and then still your same locate and restart. If you show performance, you can see same stuff over here. You can show the number of 2 GHz clients and the number of 5 GHz clients showed up. You can show the TX number and the RX number, and then their status right here, and then the channels once again, and locate and restart. So next, if we go over here to clients, you can see the different kinds of devices shown up right here. So if you look to the left, you can see the names and MAC addresses of all of the devices connected, and you can see the private IP addresses of all of those. You can see the Wi-Fi connection they're connected to. So if you have multiple Wi-Fi connections, that will work. It shows the AP in the port that they're connected to. So you can see all of these are connected to this AP because that's the only AP I have. You can show the down and up speeds. You can show the activity they have on here. And then you can show the uptime, how much time they've been on this AP for. They also have a block button where you can block the device, and a reconnect button where it will reconnect the device. You can also filter it by users and guests. So if I had guests on this network, it would show those in the guest section. And next is a pretty cool section of this, which is the stats section. So this can show statistics of all the stuff you're doing. So for today, it's just showing that right now. So you can see clients total. You can see the amount connected to each one of my networks, and it's 1 for each. You can see the current usage of access points, which for me doesn't do anything because I only have 1 access point. You can see the number of clients connected over time, and you can see the amount of traffic going on. And this is megabytes right here. And then the most active AP, which doesn't do anything, and the most active client right here. So if we switch over there, that's only overview for now. I think they're going to upgrade that in the future. If we just choose a different date, you can see this all is still the same, but you can see the clients, they drop out at this certain time and then they come back up here, which is durable. And that is basically statistics. And the last is the insights section, which gives you insights to which stuff is available and which is not. So here we can filter it by a bunch of stuff up there. So first up is the known clients, which it just shows all of your known clients. It shows the manufacturer of the device if it's broadcasted over the network. It shows if it's a user or a guest. It shows the down or up speeds. And it shows the last seen date. You can also block the device from here. Then here you can say devices you blocked right here. You see the devices that you put a note on, and you can see the devices that you've assigned a static IP to right here. And then here you can see the devices that are wireless, which are all of them, and then just wired. And you can change this filter time right here too. So you can see these are all of the devices that it's seen over the whole time. And then you can see wireless and wired still. Next is rogue access points, which is a pretty cool feature. This will show the rogue access points around your network, which is more useful in a business setting. You can see people trying to get around your network and adding different access points. You can show that right here. So here you can see, if you go down here, this is just showing all those access points all around here. It shows the MAC address, it shows the channel that they're connected to. You see the security if they're either open or secured. You can see the manufacturer if that is broadcasted. And then you can see the location right here, and that would change if you had more than one access point. And then you can show the signal, a higher number is better. And then you can show the point where they're last seen. You can show past connections for which ones were connected with past. You show past guest authorizations, and you can see none of the guests have actually been authorized. And I'll get to that in a second. You can see switch stats, which I don't have, remote user VPN, all this other stuff that I don't have, and those are available on the other kinds of Ubiquiti products. So now we're going to take a look at one of the settings screens for the APs, and this is pretty simple. So here you can see once again the name. You can detach this, so right here if I just want to detach that there. Here you can see the MAC address once again. You can see the model, and you can see the version of firmware it's running. Once again, you can see the IP address on your network. You can see the uptime, how much time it's been up on the network, the number of users connected, and the number of guests connected. Here, if we click on uplink, we can see the speed, which is up all the way because we're running completely wired through gigabit Ethernet. You can see the full duplex right here, the duplex speed. You see the down packets and bytes and up packets and bytes, and then you can see the activity, which is in bytes per second. If you click on radio here, it just gives you some stats. And then here you can see this RF environment, which actually scans around the AP in its RF environment. It shows which places are most vulnerable to RF frequencies. So I'm just going to click the scan button right here, and I'll be back once this is over. And you can see right here, there's this confirm RF scan. It tells you this scan may take more than 5 minutes, and all clients using this will be disconnected. So I'm going to click confirm, and I'll see you guys in just a second. So here you can see it's just about done. So here it shows you the amount of interference right here. You can see the utilization of each channel right here. So you can see interference is pretty low at -95 dBm, and the interference types are just Wi-Fi. All of these ones, or most of them, are just Wi-Fi. You can scroll up to all 10 channels. Then here you can see we start at channel 36, and it switches to a bunch of different channels right here. You can view all those different channels too. And that is a pretty cool feature for places with multiple APs. And here you can see the users connected once again, all of this stuff right here, and then you can see the signal or the interference, and then the TX number, and then here you can see guest, and then configuration. And this is where you can name the AP. So you can see I just named this like this. Here you can see the radios. You can change the channels right here. You can change the amount of power that it gives it. Then same with the 5G. Here is the WLANs, and this is where you can override the different LANs that it finds, and you can change the SSIDs to your liking. And then here you can change the groups. So you can't do this with just one AP, but with multiples you can. Then this is where you configure the IP address. You can see I configure it with a static IP with the IP address 10.0.1.3. I changed the subnet mask to the normal of 255.255.255.0. I changed the gateway back to my router. The preferred DNS now going to my server, and then the alternate DNS is going to Open DNS. You can remove the AP from your controller, and you can pair it with a different controller if you want to, but that isn't working with my system right now. And now I'm just going to show you a client page. So here you can see the status page of one of these devices right here. So you can see the MAC address of the device, you can see the host name of the device, and then when it was last seen. You can also block it, of course. Here you can view the history of the device, and then you can configure a name for the device just on the network. You can add a note to the device. You can change the user group, which I'll go over in just a second. You can give it a fixed IP address, and you can just view the quick debug information right there. And then here, let's jump down to settings. So first, you can just see the site or location configuration. So here you can see just the site name. I just called it default, and the country, time zone. You can select for this to automatically upgrade the AP firmware, which is fine with me because it usually upgrades in the middle of the night when I'm not using this. I disable all of the networks on this device at around 10 o'clock, so I don't have to use this over then, and that's when it can upgrade its firmware. And here you can see automatically upgrade phone firmware. So if you have a VoIP phone connected to it, you can automatically upgrade that firmware. You can disable the status LED. So if I click apply right here, then it'll just disable the status on this device. And if I click apply again, you can see it turns right back on. Here you can enable alert emails, which I'll go over in just a second. And then here you can just enable the connectivity monitor and wireless uplink. So here is just, you can select by the default gateway or a custom IP. Here's some more advanced settings, then how you get into the device. So you can see right here, you just add a username and a password. So here, if we go down to wireless networks now, you can see the wireless networks that you configured on the device. You can either use it to extend wireless networks that you used on a different AP, which I'm doing with some of them, and then you can create your own wireless networks too. So here you can see, I'll just go into this one right here, and you have a bunch of options. So here you can just configure the SSID, you can enable or disable it. You can change the security, so it can either be an open network where anybody can access it without a password. You can configure it with WEP, which is the older encryption. You can configure it with WPA personal, or if you have a WPA or radius server, then you can configure it with that IP address and all that other good stuff. And then here you can apply the guest policies, which I'll go over in a second. And then here are some advanced options. And you can hide the SSID here. You could change the WPA mode. You can change the user group, and you can schedule it. But you can have up to 4 wireless networks on a group. So if I just create a group right here, you can enable zero handoff, which just hands it off right to the next AP. And that only works if you have multiple APs. You can balance the number of clients per radio, which balances the number of clients per AP. And then you can enable 802.11a or b or something like that. And then next we go to the networks, and this is for more advanced users, so I'm going to skip that. And here's a pretty interesting section. This is the guest portal. If you enable the AP to have the guest settings, then it goes right to these settings right here, which are very comprehensive settings right here. So first up, you can have just no authentication at all, which means it's completely open network no matter what. And I'm just here assuming that you left that guest network open with no password. Here you can enable a simple password, which redirects you to a different page when you connect to that network and makes you enter that guest password. You can have a hotspot right here, and you can either enable voucher-based authorization or payment-based authorization. And here you can, when it's done, you can redirect to the original URL or to a promotional URL. And then here you can enable the customization, or you can redirect using a host name. Then here, this is if you have a radius server right here, or a different custom login server and you want to use that. Then here you can restrict the subnets down here, and then you can allow subnets right there. I'm going to give you a demonstration of connecting to a guest network. So I'm going to demonstrate each of the first 3 settings, and first let's go start with no authentication. So I'm just going to click apply over here, and then let's go to the smartphone for the connection. Alright, so we are starting with the no password option, and here you can see it just asks you to accept the terms of use right here. And here it just says, /the wireless network, you acknowledge that your legal aid, you rent, understood, and agree to be bound by this agreement. The wireless network service is provided by property owners, and completely at your discretion, your access to the network may be blocked, suspended, or terminated at any time for any reason. You agree not to use the wireless network for any purpose that is unlawful, and take full responsibility for your acts. The wireless network is provided as is without warranties of any kind, either expressed or implied. And then if you just press connect, it'll connect you to the network. So next we're going to connect with a simple password. So let's just click that. I'm going to enter in the password. Then I'm just going to click apply again. And let's go back to the phone.
So now we're in the guest password option. So we just need to enter in the password, and we will get into the network.
So you can see I just entered a password. If I press connect, now we're going to try the final option, which is the hotspot. So I'm going to click that, and then we have to go to the hotspot manager. So here, manages the big hotspot. So what we're going to start, we're going to enable voucher-based authentication. So we're going to create a voucher right here. So let's just create one-time voucher for 8 hours. Like this, we're just going to create vouchers, and then it's going to give us this code. And now let's go back to the phone.
So finally we have the voucher code, and if we just got that voucher code to get entered in that created before, then we could just connect to the network via that code.
So here I can just add different administrators if you want to. And here you can just add different user groups. So you can see I have one for the default user group, which is for anybody other than me or a guest. You can have I have a user group for myself on all my devices. Then I have a user group for guests, and I limited the bandwidth on this one to 100 kilobits per second, so the guests will get a lot slower of bandwidth than a normal person would. And then here's just the VoIP if you use that. And then here's the controller settings right here. So here you can change the host name. This is useful if you're hosting on a cloud server. You can make it discover them on the L2 network, which is more advanced. And then here's the more VoIP settings. Here is a cool feature, which is a mail server. So this thing can actually send mail if there's an issue. So here you can see I'm using Google Apps. So I set up my Google Apps settings on here with this, just the normal ports. And then here you can just send the test email right here. And finally, it's just a bit of maintenance information. So here you can see just a version. You can download the backup settings, restore from the setting, and here just download support info. Down here, the bottom controller, you can just see we have the alerts section for any alerts that come up, and then an events section right here, which shows all the events for the admin right there, the LAN or the WLAN. And that basically wraps it up for this video, guys. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'd like to thank you guys all for watching. I'll see you guys next week right here on Drummer Tech.